morning, my dear friends. It is a great blessing, a great opportunity, and a great privilege to be here at the studios of the Evangelist Ministry. Welcome to the studios of the Evangelist Ministry. From the studios of the Evangelist Ministry, we spread the good news about Jesus Christ and His saving grace. Our mission is to lead people into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ. My dear friends, the topic of this morning is the Lord timing. Wonderful subject. The Lord's timing. Let's open the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1 to the 8. Chapter 3, verse 1 to the 8. The Bible reads this way: to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and time to heal. A time to break down and time to build up. A time to weep and time to laugh. A time to mourn and time to dance. A time to cast away stones and time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and time to lose. Time to keep and time to cast away. A time to rent and time to sow. A time to keep silence and time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and time of peace. What profit has he that work in that wherein he labored? I have seen the travail which God has given to the sons of men to exercise and eat it. Amen. Amen. My dear friends, the time, the Lord timing. How difficult. It is not true. It is not difficult to wait for the Lord sometimes. But my dear friends, the first thing we need to understand about God's timing is that the Lord's timing is perfect. Just as all of God's ways are perfect. According to the book of Psalms 18:30, and you can see when you have the time, Galatians 4:4. My dear friends, God's timing is never early. And it has never been late. In fact, from before we are born until the moment we take our last breath here on earth, our sovereign God is fulfilling His divine purpose in our daily lives. My dear friends, He is in complete control of everything and everyone from eternity to eternity. But the truth is this: in God's timing, everything is fulfilled as He promised, without delay, according to His perfect timing. But my dear friends, we are living in a world that constantly push us to desire the immediate results. We are living in a world that constantly pushes us to the desired immediate results, where patience seems to be a forgotten virtue and time is considered as an enemy to be mastered. However, when we stop and look back, God was discovered an essential and liberating truth. God has perfect timing for all things. His clock does not adjust to our clock. His wisdom transcends our human expectations. Yes, it is, my friends. The concept of divine blessing is not just about receiving something at the time we want it, but about receiving it at the time that God in His infinite wisdom had determined it as the best for us. Amen. Yes, indeed, my friends. That's why we can read in the book of Ecclesiastes. In the book of Ecclesiastes, it offers us a profound reflection on time and eternity, and reminds us that to everything there is a season, and time to every purpose under the heaven. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. My dear friends, this verse leads us to meditate on the sovereignty of God, who, as the creator of time, handled with precision and purpose that often escape from our understanding in life and human logic. My dear friend, this is an interweaving of time and season that God has arranged in perfect way. Yes, my dear friend, there is a time for many things. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and time to laugh, time to mourn and time to dance, according to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 2 and 4. But my dear friend, let's think about this. And let's meditate. In each of these seasons, God is working in our personal life. Even though sometimes we don't see it or understand it. This understanding challenges us to change our perspective of blessing and on time. Did I make myself clear, my friend? Let me tell you it again. In each of this season, God is working in our lives. Even though sometimes we don't see it or understanding, this understanding challenges us to change our perspective on blessing and on time. Instead of seeing waiting as a punishment or a sign that God has forgiven us, we must learn to see waiting as an integral part of the divine plan. Did I make myself clear now? Amen. God knows the end, my dear friends. From the beginning. God knows the end from the beginning. He is never late, like you and I. He doesn't rush like you and I. But he doesn't delay either. His timing is perfect. And is aligned with his purpose, his divine purpose for our lives. Amen. Amen. My dear friends, just as a good gardener does not harvest before time, God does not give us his blessing until the time is right. Did I make myself understand it? This is where passion and faith become our greatest allies. Passion allows us to wait without anxiety. And faith gives us the certainty that even if we do not yet see the fruit of our wait, God is working in our favor, believe it or not. Amen. Why? Well, my dear friend, let's think about faith. The definition of faith. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This is what the book of Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1 said. Said very clear, my dear friend. Now, let's think about this. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. This is the definition of faith. In my own words. My dear friends, the Bible is full of examples of people who wait on God and they saw his promises fulfilled at the perfect time. Not at the time they want, but at the perfect time. Their passion and faith were abundantly rewarded, exceeding their expectation. When we understand that God is in control of the times and that his clock is not synchronized with our clock, but perfectly adjusted to his divine purpose. My dear friends, if we learn this, we free ourselves from the burden of stress and anxiety that often accompany waiting. Yes. We learn to rest. Listen, we should learn to rest in the promise that in due time God will bless us with what we need, with what he has promised. My dear friend, let's think about this. And he will do so in a way that will surprise us and exceed our expectations. With this understanding, we can move forward with the assurance that we are not at the mercy of chance or the winds of faith. Our lives are in the hands of God, who is loving, a God that is wise and completely sovereign. He is orchestrating every detail of our life. And although at the times silence or delay might cause us to doubt, we can be sure that His plan is perfect anyway. No matter how long God is going to take to bless us, but His plan is perfect. His timing is perfect. When we speak of God's timing, we enter into the realm that goes beyond our human understanding, beyond our human logic. God's perspective of time is not limited by our urgencies, nor does it conform to our immediate desire. Let's think about what Isaiah said. Isaiah said, "For my thought are not your thought, neither are your ways my ways, said the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thought than your thought." Isaiah 55, verse 8 and 9. My dear friend, this verse reminds us that God's thoughts are not like our thoughts, nor His ways like our ways. This verse offers us a powerful and comforting vision. My dear friends, God in His infinite wisdom see the whole picture, while we only perceive fragments of the picture. His knowledge encompasses not only in our present, but also in our past and our future. He sees what we cannot see, my dear friends. He knows what we don't know, my dear friend. He knows what we do not know, and that is why His timing is always perfect, my dear friends. Amen? Amen. And then, my dear friend, the importance of God's timing lies on the fact that He orchestrates every detail of our lives with a defined purpose, a defined divine purpose. My dear friends, when we find ourselves in the middle of waiting, it is easy to fall into temptations or impatience. It is not true, my friend. Keep an amen, my dear friends. Amen. Yes. Often when we find ourselves in the middle of waiting, it is easy to fall into the temptation of impatience. We want quick answers, right or wrong. We want quick answers, immediate solution, and blessing that come at the moment we long for them. However, the reality is that our understanding is limited. We do not always understand why certain prayer seems not to be answered immediately the way we want, or why certain desires seems to be on hold for a long time. This is where faith and trust in God become very essential for you and I. God timings, also sometimes incomprehensible or delayed for us, is always the best time. Like the potter who patiently molds the clay to create a perfect vessel. God, my dear friend, listen to me. God is molding our personal life according to His divine purpose. The Bible is complete with examples that teach us the value of waiting in God's timing, in God's perfect timing. This story is not just an ancient story, but powerful, listen to me, powerful testimonies of how passion and trust in God can lead to the manifestation of His promise in our lives. Each of these examples remind us that although the road might seem long, arduous, and difficult, God's faithfulness always prevails, and His promise is fulfilled perfectly and at the time. At the time. Yes. His promise is fulfilled perfectly and at the right time. But my dear friends, let's think about Abraham. Let's think about Abraham. Abraham, his passion, his faith is so wonderful. Wow. Abraham and Sarah are perhaps one of the most emblematic examples of waiting in God's timing. He made them an extraordinary promise that they would have a son, and that through that son they will become a great nation. Let's think about that. Amen. However, years passed by, and there were no signs that his promises would come reality. It's not said for you and I, but not for Abraham. Years passed, and there were no signs that these promises would come reality. They faced doubts, trying to take matters into their own hands, but immediately had to learn that God's timing is not our timing. Did I make myself clear, my friend? Amen. We're asking God something today, and we like them today. Not tomorrow, but today. They faced doubts, trying to take matters into their own hands, but ultimately had to learn that God's timing is not our timing. Despite the hopelessness and despair that might have arisen over the years, and despite their advanced age, God keeps His promises, my dear friends. Yes, indeed, my friend. Amen. He always going to keep His promises. Isaac, wow, finally arrived. Man, it's a wonderful promise, my friend. Isaac arrived. Isaac was born, and with him, the divine promise began to take shape. But the waiting was for so long, my friends. Isaac was born, and with him, the divine promise started to take shape. The story of Abraham and Sarah teaches us that when God makes promises, there is no circumstances, time, or human barrier that can prevent its fulfillment. When God promises, my dear friend, He does, but in His time, which always is the perfect divine time. Let's think about Genesis 21. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, then 8 days old, as God has commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. Genesis 21, verse 4 or 5. Let's think about, my dear friend, what an amazing situation. It is amazing to wait in God's timing like Abraham and Sarah did. But my dear friends, allow me to tell you this morning, in one of the most significant in the story of this character, it teaches us the importance of trusting in God's promises. It teaches us, my dear friend, the importance of trusting in God's process. Even when that process involves long period of time. Even when that process involves long periods of waiting and challenges. But my dear friends, this biblical example not only teaches us the importance of waiting in God's timing, but they also encourage us to keep our faith and hope alive, even when circumstances seem to contradict God's promises. Did I make myself understand, my friends? Amen. The Bible examples, yes, we have to think about. This biblical example not only teaches us the importance of waiting in God's timing, but they also encourage us to keep our faith and hope alive, even when circumstances contradict God's promises. We should wait until He completes His promises. My dear friends, waiting on God does not mean inactivity or hopelessness. It means trusting that God has a bigger plan, a higher purpose than we can see in the present time. Did I make myself clear? Amen. It means believing that when God says something will happen, soon as later. So the time we spend waiting is not a wasted time, but time in which God is working in us, preparing us to receive His promises and complete it. Yes. My dear friends, we can get into conclusion this morning, my friends. Let's think about this, my friends. Just let's think about this. Waiting in God's time, as we see in the life of Abraham and Sarah, is a process of formation. It's a process of spiritual growth and preparation for what is yet to come. It is not an empty wait. It is not an empty wait, but a wait full of purpose and meaning. It is during this time that faith deepens our character. It's molding, and our relationship with God is strength more and more. And when finally the promise arrives, we understand clearly and we're ready. It is a perfect lesson. Here is clear. No matter how long it seems to take the promise, God is faithful. His word does not return empty, and His plan for us will be fulfilled at the precise moment, just like happened to Abraham. But we must learn, my dear friend, waiting for God's divine purpose. Yes, my friend. God is faithful. Yes. And one thing we have to understand, that His word does not return empty. And His plan for us will be fulfilled at the precise moment, just like happened to Abraham. We are called to wait with hope, to trust with faith, and to walk with faith, and walk with certainty that God and His perfect time will make all things happen for our own good and His glory. My dear friends, do you know this message? Have you ever heard this message? If not, take this message in consideration. Wait for God's blessing. It's an act of faith that defies human logic. Our human nature often tempts and are impatient to think that God has to forget us, or that His promises are taking so long. It is not true, my friends. Amen. My dear friends, first thing we need to understand about God's timing is that it's perfect. God's timing is perfect. Just as all of God's ways are perfect. God's timing is never early and it has never been late. In fact, from before we are born until the last moment we take, our last breath here on earth, our sovereign God is fulfilling His divine purpose in our personal life. My dear friends, I'm very thankful to God that gave me this opportunity to bring this message to all of you, my friends. God bless you and God bless America.